Hey guys, what's going on? Jeb here, and in today's video, we are going to be doing an economics lesson on the global economy and the state thereof for the year of 2020, and specifically because we're having a quarter ending today. Quarter 2 is coming to an end, and this is a very big deal because it means we're going to be getting the earnings reports for all of the different companies and how badly they've been hit by the news virus that we've been covering so much here in the last couple of months. Guys, we have a plethora of different things to be looking at today. We're going to be looking at earnings seasons and quarterly earnings reports. We're also going to be looking at TSA travel checkpoint numbers. We're going to be looking at unemployment figures. We're going to be looking at the treatment for the news virus, and we're also going to be looking at the actual statistics for that virus itself. The point of this video, as there isn't much going on the actual Bitcoin chart, is to educate you guys on what's going on in the wider world, because even if you don't care about that, I promise you probably want to, because it's going to have an impact on Bitcoin, specifically in the next few days when we start having quarterly earnings reports coming out from all these companies that have been hemorrhaging money. Even if you're not interested in what's going on in the world right now, I would encourage you to watch this video because this is going to have a big impact on Bitcoin, and we're going to tie it all in at the end of the video, so make sure you watch until the end for that. Guys, a lot of work and preparation went into this video, so if you do enjoy today's video, consider hitting that like and subscribe button. And before we jump on into it, I do want to mention one thing, and that would be the Cryptocurrency Technical Analysis Academy. A ton of you guys have been joining lately because you guys are starting to understand the value of having a structured curriculum-based method of teaching technical analysis rather than just trying to learn it all on your own. It is much, much more difficult to do that. Guys, you're going to get nearly 12 hours of content in CT2A for a very, very low price. But the price of the Academy will be going up in the next couple of days, so if you do want to get access to CT2A before that price increase happens, I would encourage you to go ahead and do that. But guys, without much further ado, let's go ahead and dive right on into it. Guys, we have a lot to get through, and we're going to try and do it relatively quickly, so let's just go ahead and jump on to the chart. We're going to start with Bitcoin, but we're not going to spend much time here. As I said, there isn't much going on. You can see in the last 6 days, Bitcoin has pretty much pulled back and had a very meager bounce. Not much to read into with this other than the fact that Bitcoin has not bounced to where it started, which is generally fitting with the model that we have of Bitcoin gradually trending sideways and to the downside. Bitcoin's volume has been dropping off. Obviously, its volatility has been dropping off. We are, however, seeing a possible bullish cross coming in on Bitcoin on the daily chart, but let's not get overexcited on that. We almost saw one here too, and it didn't really result in anything. Once again, we saw one back here, and it didn't. Nothing came from it. One thing that some people have been pointing out on the RSI is that we are in some kind of descending wedge here on the RSI, and this is technically speaking a good sign, but we also need to understand that the RSI on the daily chart is a very long-term indicator. Actually, especially if you're looking at it with a trend that is over 2 months old like this, this is, generally speaking, a decently good sign for Bitcoin, but at the same time, if you take off these two lines here, then it's basically just the RSI trending to the downside. So you can read into that however you'd like. I'm going to leave that up to you. Anyway, guys, the first thing that I want to actually get into with the economic stuff today is the earnings season. As you may know, today is the end of quarter 2, and that means that we're going to start seeing earnings reports coming out from all public companies in America and worldwide over the next 2 to 3 weeks. Normally, when a quarter ends, you're going to see those earnings reports, those quarterly earnings reports coming out within the first 14 to 21 days of the quarter ending. So we're going to start seeing some of them pretty much starting now. As you may be able to guess, many of these companies, especially companies in the travel sector, in the vacation sector, in the hospitality sector, in the restaurant sector, in many different sectors that involve you going to their place of business, brick and mortar sectors, box stores, all of malls, anything in a shopping mall, food courts, any of these companies are going to be showing massive losses. And if they're not showing massive losses, we'll get to what the Federal Reserve is showing in a minute. But let's start with the companies first. Let's jump over to Investopedia real quick because there's something that I really like about what they said here. Some traders look forward to earnings seasons in a normal market, as it can be a period where they can confirm their positions they place. Shorting a stock before earnings and watching the price drop can be beneficial, as the psychological drop will usually trigger a sell-off. Watch that word right there. Conversely, a ramping up of production or revenue could result in a we don't even need to read that because we're obviously not going to see a ramping up in production. Thank you very much, person who ate a bat in China. I want to figure out who that was. Well, he's probably dead, but you know. Thanks. Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate that. You know, I saw something on Facebook. It said that Netflix took Friends off of their catalog, and ever since then, it hasn't been our day, our week, our month, or even our year. So that might have been the problem. I don't know. You tell me in the comment section, where did all of this come from? Are we just cursed? I'd like to know. Back at the end of quarter one, we weren't exactly sure what the impact of the news of virus was going to be on the global economy, as we had just seen it start to ramp up in February. In fact, as you could see, we were still very much in the log curve at the end of quarter one. We didn't know exactly how far everything was going to go, and we most certainly did not understand the full economic impact, but we're about to. While those quarterly reports aren't out yet, there is one thing that we can look at, and that is weekly unemployment figures. This is a very, very useful report released by the Department of Labor and updated every week. In the week of June 20th, the advanced figure for seasonally adjusted initial claims for unemployment federally was 1.48 million, a decrease of 60,000 from the previous week. We can see, looking at these charts, that for a period of over a month, we were seeing over 5 million federal unemployment claims and state unemployment claims a week. If you scroll down here, and I'll have this linked in the doobly-doo down below, if you scroll down, you can see the number of initial claims filed during the week per state, but more interesting to me is the number of claims filed by date. This starts a year ago, June 15, 2019. Nothing crazy was going on here. This is in thousands, so don't misunderstand and think there's only a couple thousand people filing employment claims. Multiply this number and add 3 zeros after it. March 21st, 2020, 3.3 million unemployment claims. March 28th, 2020, 6.9 million employment claims. April 4th, 2020, 6.6 million unemployment claims. We stopped talking about this news around this time, but understand the number only gets bigger. The insured unemployment, which is pretty much the total figure over here, is calculated and peaked at 25 million. Two things. Number one, there's about 330 million people living in America. Cut off a third of those because their children not working or they're retired. Probably more than that, but let's be conservative. That's 25 million people on unemployment. And by the way, there are a lot of people who became unemployed, but because they didn't need the unemployment, because they were lazy, or because of any kind of factor, decided not to apply for unemployment. This number is probably twice as high when you try and figure out how many actual jobs were lost. And we're going to get to really bad news and really good news here in a second, but I'm still laying the foundation for what we're trying to discuss here. 1 year ago today, there were 1.5 million insured unemployment claims. Today, that number is well over 15 times higher. And by the way, everything I'm discussing here for now is in America, but you can bet your bottom dollar that this is reflected in Europe and the rest of the first world and wherever you're listening to this as well. No country has been spared. Some countries have had it worse than others. The United States, albeit, has had it very bad, but a lot of you guys are going to still want to know what's going on here, because what impacts America, I guarantee you, will end up impacting your country, even if there's a slight lag. So let's keep moving on here, because that alone is bad, but this may be worse. I showed you this page a few days ago when I was showing the number of people going through TSA travel checkpoints, and one thing that you saw is that, yes, a lot of the fear tactics that were going on with the media to get people to stay home and not travel, a lot of the lockdowns were resulting in people not traveling. We were averaging 2 to 2.3 million people going through TSA every single day a year ago. At the low on 4/14, just before what would have been tax day in America, we saw only 87,000 people going through TSA checkpoints. That number, that absolute low, coincides to this day on the daily new cases chart in the United States. On April the 14th in America, there were 27,000 new reported cases in America. Today, or yesterday rather, there were 45,000, as we've seen an increase, and we'll talk about this spike later. So keep that in mind. There were 24,000 cases and there were 87,000 people going through TSA. Today, there are 44,000 cases a day coming in America, but there's 625,000 people going through TSA every single day. Do you see the problem here? I'll wait. If you don't see the problem here, and we'll get to the rest of the context, there's more to talk about here, but if you don't see the problem, we're seeing more case figures than we ever have. We're at an all-time high right now, but people aren't taking the quarantine seriously anymore. Now, we can get into... YouTube, come on now, can I please say it? We can get into COVID-19 case figures being blown out of proportion to a certain extent. There are people that had corona and then they died in another way, and then they had something that they were reported as a corona death. The death rate is a little bit inaccurate, but you would expect that to happen when we're talking millions of people. We're not even talking about the humanitarian issue right here. We're talking about the economic issue, and no matter whether or not the humanitarian issue warrants the economic issue, the fact of the matter is they are correlated, and that's not going to change. When corona figures go up, the economy goes down. And right now, we're seeing pretty much more case figures than we've ever seen in the entire history of the country, and we're seeing lockdowns being released. They're being lifted. Now, like I said, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. There is good news to come, but we're going to get to that. Next thing I want to mention is, where did this blip come from? Everybody had been warning about a second wave. It looks like we may end up seeing a second wave significantly worse than the first one. But where exactly did this come from? Well, I think it came from a lot of different places. Number one, which is important to note, is that people aren't taking it as seriously as they used to. There's more traffic on the roads. There's more people out and about. People are going to gyms. People are not wearing masks a whole lot. People aren't taking it as seriously as they were, and that is going to have a very big contributing factor to it. But I also find it curious, the date here. June 15th is around the date that these case figures started exploding again. They've more than doubled in 2 weeks on the daily figure. When did these protests start? May 26th, 2020. What's the incubation period for COVID? On average, 5 to 6 days, can be up to 14 days. So what we're seeing is that about 2 to 3 weeks after all these protests started, we started seeing a massive number of COVID cases coming in. Now, I'm not inserting my opinion on any of that. I'm not talking about whether the protests are warranted or not. I'm not commenting on that. No comment at all. I'm just stating a fact that is, when these protests started, very soon thereafter, about the incubation period of Corona, we start seeing a massive, unequivocally massive uptick in cases. That is something to take into consideration. Anyway, let's get to some good news, and then we'll get on to the actual economic impact of this. Now, there's obviously some controversy going on with remdesivir, the treatment that Gilead has released for corona, having to do with the pricing, having to do with the rollout, having to do with whether or not it's effective, having to do with the trials. We don't have a vaccine yet, but luckily we do at least have the preliminary components of some kind of antiviral treatment. This is a very big news story, and you can believe that every single laboratory on the planet is working hard on treatments for this. The good news is that even though I'm predicting we're about to see a second wave of the virus, much worse than we've ever seen, in America anyway, we are starting to see treatments coming online. Vaccines are getting into their second phases of clinical trials. We are seeing a lot of good, promising development. And the reason I say this before I get to the economic impact of this is because it's gonna scare you, rightfully so, but we will make it through it. We've been through worse. We'll make it through this. This is not meant to be fear-mongering. This is not meant to scare you. It is simply meant to give you facts and then my opinion of the extrapolation of said facts. You can take that or you can leave it, but I think you'll get value out of hearing what I have to say. We have never seen unemployment figures. We have never seen the oil market. We have very rarely seen the stock market collapse in the way that we have seen in the last 3 months or so. We have never seen the Federal Reserve print $7 trillion plus out of thin air. The United States debt, and this goes for a lot of countries too, the United States is not the only country with this problem, is sitting on $26 trillion of debt. That is not even including much of the Federal Reserve printing of money that has not actually been put into that figure yet. A lot of it won't be because of the way it's calculated, but you understand my point. By the way, in case you were wondering what the actual workforce of America is, here it is right here, 137 million. Not even as high as I was saying it was. The United States debt is set to explode with the amount of Federal Reserve printing of money. And the sad thing is that we've already dropped interest rates to zero. There's nothing that we can do with interest rates unless we want negative interest rates, which would throw off every amortization table on the planet and would completely wreck the economy. Ask our European friends who are dealing with some of that. It's not something that you want to implement into your economy. And we've already printed trillions and trillions of dollars. We've printed 2 to 3 years of U.S. federal tax income in the last 4 months. What's even the point of me paying 30 or 40% of my income in taxes, United States federal government? What is it? We have an economic catastrophe sitting on our hands, and I'm also going to tell you, this is hard to explain, so I'm not going to in this video. I can in a future video if you'd like me to. But this is not all going to catch up with us overnight. This is not all going to catch up with us this year. We're going to get through the virus, and then we're going to be dealing with what we've done to fix it for the next 10 years. We are borrowing from our future selves to fix the current situation with massive issues of efficiency. We are taxing our future prosperity to help us through this current situation, which is a good thing. I'm not complaining about that, but I am complaining about the way it's being done. There are companies who should never have received PPP loans. There are people that should not be receiving $600 a week and making more money on unemployment than they were making at the job they had before this happened. I have never seen the United States federal government waste so much money in my entire life, and I've been following it for the last 10 years. Albeit that's not a very long time, but if you take into consideration the amount of United States spending in the last 10 years, I've got a lot of it. 10 years is a bit of an exaggeration. I started following when I was about 13, so 6 years. We are about to see a short-term, massive bearish factor coming into the market for the global economy, and you can bet that it will impact Bitcoin. And to be honest with you, I think it'll impact Bitcoin in a positive way. That being U.S. companies' earnings reports coming out over the next couple of weeks, they are going to be showing blood falls in money, and they're also going to be showing massive amounts of PPP loans. That's the Paycheck Protection Program, which is what my company also received, loans coming in. This is going to catch up with us, guys. Many economists are actually predicting that we're going to have a period of 2 to 3% deflation during the end of 2020, leading on into the beginning of 2021, and then the inflation will start to catch up to us as the economy rebounds and it stabilizes, which is actually not a good thing because deflation actually means that you have to pay more money on your loans. Oh, wait a minute, we have all this debt. When you have deflation, your money is worth less, so it's harder to pay back your debt. Deflation and inflation are both going to shoot us in the foot right now, and we're going to go through both. To summarize everything I've said here, we're seeing a massive uptick in cases, and that's only going to increase. That's only going to continue. This is going to get worse. It's not going to be the apocalypse. It's not going to be the end times, but it's not going to be good either. It is, in my opinion, going to hark back to March when we were going through all of this. We are about to get slapped in the face again by the economy and by Mother Nature with the corona news. So what impact will all of this have on Bitcoin? Well, guys, I'm going to be honest with you. I think everything I just said is remarkably bullish for Bitcoin. However, it's not remarkably bullish for your life because even if you trade Bitcoin every single day and you try to buy as much as possible in Bitcoin, the world runs not on Duncan, it runs on dollars. It runs on US dollars. It runs on the Federal Reserve and the United States economy. We have the global reserve currency, the fiat global reserve currency that is the United States dollar, and what happens to it happens to everyone. So when people in the comments say, Jeb, that's in America, I live in Europe, what does that matter? The reason it matters is because your entire economy is based on ours in China. China's is based on ours, so yours is based on ours. You need to be paying attention to what happens in America, even if you don't live in America, because it's going to have the same impact on you as it will have on us. And I can tell you something, it is not going to be a good one. The next couple of years are going to be difficult, but again, guys, I think I've made my point on that, so let me wrap out with this. 2008 was hard. 1929 was hard. The 70s with the oil crisis was hard. World War II was hard. The Civil War was hard. The First World War was hard. Landing a man on the moon was hard. But guess what? We got through every single one of those things and we came out stronger than ever before. Humanity is a very resilient species, and so too are the humans that make it up. So understand the next couple of years on Bitcoin, the next couple of years in the global economy, in the world, are going to be difficult. But you have more strength than you think you do. You can do more than you think you do. You can get through more than you think you can. I've been there, I've done that, I've got the postcard. I don't want to go back, but I know I can and I know I'd live. I am not going to come in front of you and say that the next year or two for the economy is going to be pleasant, but I'm also not going to come here and say you're screwed. I'm also not going to come here and try and scare you. I speak in the way that I do to make sure you understand the seriousness of the situation, but I also want you to understand how serious human resolve is and how powerful that is. How much you can get through. You don't think you can get through anywhere near as much as you can. There are some people that go through a hard week and they say, oh man, that's the hardest week of my life. I could never go through all that. I bet you could go through whatever it is that you've been going through for a couple of years at least. I have seen things in my life that people have gone through around me and done things in my life that I've gone through personally that some people would think I couldn't go through a week of that. And I watched it go on for a decade. You can do a lot more than you think you can. You just got to keep your head up and have faith. We're going to be all right. I don't want any of you guys getting scared. If any of you guys want more explanation on this, if any of you guys want more encouragement, please feel free to reach out to me because I know that we're all going to be okay. If we keep our heads up and we stay focused and we have faith and we keep working hard, we're going to be all right. If anyone needs some help with that, feel free to reach out to me personally at my email at cryptojebb@gmail.com. As for the impact this will have on Bitcoin, we've talked about that in previous videos, so I'll go ahead and rehash what I think is going to happen. The economy has been hit once and it's about to get hit again. That much I'm pretty sure of. We'll see how that comes out. We'll see how that turns out in the next few months. Bitcoin is going to thrive because of this. Not in the short term. This is not going to lead to some kind of massive bull market in Bitcoin in the next 2 or 3 months. One might happen, but it won't be because of this. But in the long-term future, no one will ever again be able to discredit Bitcoin and say, oh, well, what happens when a recession comes? What happens when the global economy crashes? Well, you know what? We just had the worst economic crisis since the mid-1800s when the country was embroiled in civil war. Guess what the Bitcoin market did? It bounced massively. It returned to exactly where it started and stayed there. It recovered faster than oil, faster than the stock market, faster than commodities, faster than Forex and gold, faster than real estate. I can guarantee you that statistic is more lagging than the rest of them. Bitcoin has outpaced every single other market and it's doing a phenomenal job. The future for Bitcoin looks even brighter today, looks even more justified today than it ever has in its history, and this could not be a better thing for the market that we call home. So understand that the next few years economically are going to be challenging, but there's light at the end of the tunnel, and it's a pretty bright one too, so look forward to that. Because if you keep your eyes on your prize and your head in the sky, you're going to be just fine. That's my motto. Anyway, guys, that is going to wrap it out for this video. If you'd like to see more of these kind of economic-style videos, I would be more than happy to do some of them. We covered a lot in this video. Normally, we'd probably cover a few more concepts and go a little bit deeper, but I want to give you guys kind of an overview of what's going on in the world right now. So tell me in the comment section down below if you enjoyed this kind of video and if you'd like to see more of them. Before we go, though, I do want to mention that this is the last day of the Cryptocurrency Technical Analysis Academy sale. It will be ending today. In fact, the price of CT2A will be going up in the next couple of days, so if you want to get access to the Academy at the current price, I highly encourage you to go ahead and do so, guys. If you want to learn everything you need to know about technical analysis, you're going to do it in one place, and you're going to do it here. Listen, I can come here and I can tell you whatever I want about the Academy, but if it's not true, it doesn't mean anything. I want you to join our Discord server down below and talk to our students and see what they have to say about this product. Is it a good product? Is it worth the money? Is it worth your time investment? I want you to go and answer those questions on your own, because if you don't know me, I could be lying. Once you know me, you will know that I take lying and honesty and integrity very, very seriously, and I'm not just saying that for marketing. You can ask anyone in my personal life. I'm fine financially. I have everything I need. I have no reason to scam you, but if you want, you can join our Discord server down below and ask our students to get private God's honest testimony on that point. Guys, listen, learning cryptocurrency markets took me over 2 years, and you're always learning, but that's probably around the time that I was consistently profitable and confident in my ability to do analysis. It took me probably about 2 years. If I had have taken CT2A when I got started in the market, I probably would have cut that 2-year time frame down to like 3 months, because the vast majority of the really important stuff, the really important foundational concepts that I had to learn the hard way, I have put into video form over in the Academy. And you're going to get access to all 30-some videos, nearly 12 hours of content over in the Academy when you join us down below. There are 1,858 students in the Academy. We have a full 14-day money-back refund guarantee. You can shoot me an email and you'll get your money back like that. But less than 20 people that have ever joined the Academy have ever used that refund policy. In fact, of the first 500 that ever joined, not one of them did. And that speaks volumes about our product. No one else in the space has the balls to offer, let alone enforce, a full 14-day money-back refund guarantee. We do, because we're confident that you're going to get every single penny worth of value out of it. Guys, if you have any more questions on CT2A, I would encourage you to go ahead and reach out to us. It's a great product. It is going to help you immensely learning these markets, and you're going to get a ton of value out of it. If you don't believe me, like I said, join our free Discord server down below and talk to some of our alumni over there and get their take. Not to mention, by the way, guys, Taylor is getting back from Colorado pretty soon, and when she does, we're going to be adding even more content to CT2A, which current members will get for life. It's a lifetime membership, and you get access to all current and future content. So if you're interested, the link for that is in the description down below. Hit the first link down there at checkout. Use the June 2020 coupon code to get $40 off, and you'll be in. Guys, that is going to wrap it for today's video, but before I go, there is one more thing I want to say, and that'd be that we just passed 44,000 subscribers. We have over 5 million views on this channel now, and it reminds me of something that I decided when we had 7 subscribers. I remember I was sitting on a stone bench under a giant live oak tree at Santa Fe Community College, and I was watching YouTube Studio on my phone, because there's an app for YouTubers where you can like look at your different, like all your, it's right there. YouTube Studio, right there. You can read comments and you can look at statistics on your phone. I looked at how we had just gone from 5 to 7 subscribers. I've told this story before many times, and I was blown away. I'm like, whoa, we got 2 subscribers in a day. I'd never had that happen. You guys don't know this. This is the 5th YouTube channel I ever started. I used to say 4th, but I forgot about one of them. This is the 5th YouTube channel I've ever had. And I don't think on any of the previous 4 had I ever gotten more than 1 subscriber in a day. So when we got 2 subscribers in a day, I was like, whoa, this is cool. And I decided then and there that I would never say I. I would never say I did this. I would always say we, because I'm not the 5 subscribers, the 7 subscribers that subscribe to the channel. I'm not going to lie to you. I think 3 of those subscribers were my accounts, so that means 2 to 4 of them were actual legitimate subscribers. But I decided then and there, just a few days after uploading the first couple of videos to the channel, that I would never say I, because it wasn't me. It wasn't just my journey. It was the journey that I have with you guys. And I remember I would say that around my dad, around my friends, and I'd say, we have so much, we have X, Y, and Z, we have this many views, this many videos, and they'd say, what do you mean we? You're alone, you're the only dude working on it. And I'd say no, because I didn't subscribe with all those accounts. This isn't me, this is me and a massive, awesome community that I am so incredibly blessed to share this journey with. So guys, all of that to say, thank you very much for the last 2.5 years that we've been doing cryptocurrency technical analysis here. There's some massive things coming in the next couple of months, and I'm sure the next 2.5 years are going to be remarkable. If you guys want to help to support the channel, CT2A is down below. It's a great, if you want to help to support the channel, that is the #1 way of doing it. But if you want to do it in a way that doesn't involve you joining the academy, you can hit that like and subscribe button as well. Anyway, guys, that is going to wrap it out for today's video. I'm going to go get some more coffee. But before I go, guys, I do just first want to thank each and every single last one of you for watching, as always. And I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.
Oh, I got a real good feeling.